do you have like a version of this where you tried to do something to like make sure you fit in? Because I can know when I was younger, it was probably a million things. Like I know I tried to skateboard and roller skate and the tech decks, sucked at those, right? I mean,
Yeah, those things. I don't know how people do it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm doing this so easy. It's like
I remember.
I can't do it.
No, I did. I was actually good at origami though, so I was good at that.
Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, was not good at that. I guess for me, it was probably sports,
Okay.
like basketball and football, stuff like that. But then it was also just trying to be funny. I was also just like, just trying to get attention, you know, especially back in the high school, middle school days, just wanted attention.
Yeah.
Um, and
Oh.
so, yeah, all I wanted was love. Uh, but no, I think it's more of like, yeah, I did use a lot of humor to try to get people to like,
Laugh.
you know, yeah, laugh and stuff. But then I sometimes it'd be so stupid. Like I'd say a joke, silence. Somebody would say the same joke, laugh throughout the whole class, and I'm just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna leave. I'm gonna not be in school anymore. Um, but yeah, so I think it was more like the humor and just trying to connect with people with sports because I wasn't really good with conversations either.
Okay.
I wasn't really good with like one-on-one talk, or I was better with one-on-one talking, was not good at group talks. Like I can speak to you privately and I'm fine, but then once we start getting to
It's a lot.
groups, then I start being like, oh, because then I have to like try to nitpick on the conversation, try to be good at talking at all subjects with this person, that person, and try to adapt to each conversation and each person that I'm talking to. So I can either make them laugh or I can make them seem like I'm interesting to each one of those people.
Enough.
And that's a very tough thing to do, obviously. So
Yeah. And I have the same issue with like group conversations, but for me, it's like when is my turn? Like, because like I noticed people are like interrupting each other and stuff, and this seems fine. But like when I try to interrupt, like people just talk over me or they get pissed. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? Like, but then if I don't interrupt, I just stand there and they're like, why are you so quiet? It's like, when are you going to stop talking? Like, I have not figured that out yet. So, yeah, the group dynamic is tough.
Very tough. I got, so right. Therapist now.
oh, okay.
In my group therapies, I'll have them. Supposedly, you don't always know what's in there if they're neurotypical, neurodivergent. But a good amount of time at campus, I always load them up with my clients. So if they're loaded up with my clients, the group at the school, then it's probably going to be a more neurodivergent, autistic group. Doesn't matter what the other identities are and why they're in there. And so I'll get a couple quiet ones in there. And the same thing is always with the quiet folks is, I don't know when the hell to say anything. Like, they're like, there's a million fucking things going on. They're like, I don't want to be disrespectful. Like, I don't want to hurt anyone. And so they withhold. And so the only way is to give them the microphone, technically, to prompt them or to give them questions. Sometimes it's about finding those intersections and making sure like everyone has trust. So that way everything is done in good faith. And then I got my other autistics that are in there that don't shut up. And it's not garbage that they're saying. It's great, affirming, wonderful stuff. But then they go too much into the detail and repetitive because they're used to not being understood. And so to stop themselves from being misunderstood, they overtalk. And then it's up to me to rail. But that's a good thing about group therapy is it's up to the therapist to rein people in, to get them to hush a little bit, and then to bring in the quiet ones. There's literally a thing that's going on right now, and it's magnificent because all these knuckleheads, Spence, because we're going to get this into the next scene, the special interest stuff. They all start nerding out about video games, Spence. I don't even know the shit they talking about. They talking about some shit. They ain't normal. This is autism video games. This ain't like Call of Duty type stuff.
Oh,
like these
like
are
Roblox.
Yeah.
Minecraft.
But you know, they talked about League, and the one boy brought up League of Legends, but then he was like, no, that's the cheap stuff. The one, and then they started relating in this other weird game, which sounds fantastic. It was hilarious, but I could see some of the other folks in group like, the fuck is going on right now? And I'm like, I'm gonna give y'all another 2 minutes to geek out because I need the quiet one to relate to this other one. And then we're gonna get back to the conversation what we're supposed to have. We derail so much in my group therapy, Spence. Like at one point in time, I said mega squirtle instead of like mega blastoids instead of mega blastoids. And my boy was like, and then he starts making fun of me. He's like, what the hell is mega squirtle? He's just like, it's like squirtle.
It sounds like a medical condition.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you have mega squirtle.
Yep.
No.
It's a virus. And then he was like, and the way you said it now is just like a hood squirtle. It's like mega squirtle, bitch.
Now y'all seen that mega squirtle? You know.
And they just laughed.
Squirtle with a do-rag.
If he would have said that, I would have kicked him out because he's a white boy. But I was cracking up, bro. We were so derailed that group therapy ended up going over. I've learned this. When I start the private practice group therapy, like the private practice has started, group therapy for me can't be an hour and a half. Gotta be 2 hours. Gotta be 2 hours. Hour and a half, I cannot. I need to make sure that everyone eats in there because I know what it's like when folks, you feel hushed or neglected. 2 hours, I feel like 90 minutes doesn't work. And at my place here, they only give us 90 minutes. But besides the point, love these talks. For me, I just realized what it was when I was very young, Spence, there was a bunch of people that would laugh every time I swore. And so I started swearing more and more and more to impress the older boys so that I would be in the in crowd. And then as you get older throughout school, it's like everyone treated each other horribly. Like you just teased each other, you made fun of each other. We would call it blazing or ripping each other, peeling or whatever you want to call it. And then I regret a lot of the things that I used to say now because I'm like, we would seriously hurt each other verbally. Talking about, their looks, their intelligence, their parents, right? Their clothing, their economics, their poor sports. They're too soft. I mean, Jesus Christ, but it's survival of the fittest. If you don't make fun of people, then they all make fun of you. And so earlier when you said, Carolyn, that's not one of my identities. Like I didn't want it to be my identity, but then we just assumed it. And then I just regret so many of the things that we used to say to maybe the people that could take it and that were dishing out the most trash talking. Okay. But then sometimes people caught like friendly fire and I'm just like, God damn it. Makes me feel like that podcast, Spence, we just did, the Irredeemable from Spirited. All right. Want to get into the second scene, Spence?
Yeah. So this is a scene with Gary and then Callie. And Callie, she is the daughter of Egon. And Egon pretty much devoted his life to just keep on finding ghosts, especially I forgot the name of the first one where they beat it because it's the same one. Like he pretty much devoted his life to ghost busting still.
Yep.
And he moved away from his daughter. And so now she's felt that neglect all of her life because she thought like, hey, he didn't love her. And so now she does not like science. She doesn't like science talk, but she's with Gary now, who is a scientist and he works on science things. And so she's pretty much talking about how not only does she not like science, but then also that her father of her children didn't really get to connect with Phoebe because it felt like she was different in some way. And the fact that she is more connected to Egon because she has a similar personality to her grandfather. Maybe that's why, the mom maybe also feeling a little bit of a disconnect there also, and how she might not, want to feel attached to her daughter because she reminds herself too much of her father and things like that. So yeah, would love to know, Carolyn, why'd you want to pick this scene specifically to talk about?
Yeah, so this scene was very interesting to me in terms of how Callie, the mom, talked about her daughter Phoebe, because you actually get to hear, some insights into what's going through Callie's mind, and I think a lot of it is relatable for, some autistic people in the autistic experience. because as you said, Gary asks like sort of what's the deal with your ex or with Phoebe's dad, and the first thing Callie says is like, well, she like my ex was, he's like, I don't know, my ex was fine with the Trevor, who's the older brother, but with Phoebe, just couldn't connect with her. And that's the only sort of explanation we get about like the relationship and like what happened with it. So it sort of toes the line. It doesn't quite go there, but it almost goes there and almost makes it sound like it's Phoebe's fault that their relationship ended, like that she's isolated from her father, that her father left, which, when I was watching it, that's how it struck me when I watched the scene the first time. So I just thought that was really kind of devastating to hear a parent say that about their child and the end of their relationship. Now, granted, the mother doesn't really like her ex. That comes out later in the scene, and just did not think well of him at all. So that was really the most striking part about this particular scene, is that you get to hear what Callie is talking about. And then there's some other things that come up in the scene about Phoebe saying, well, or Callie saying, well, Phoebe really keeps me on the outside, like I can't connect with her. She's like, I wish she'd get into some kind of trouble, which again is foreshadowing, because yes, they do get into some kind of trouble in this movie. And then Gary jokes, because Gary is like the humor, the comic relief of the movie. He's like, well, maybe she'll take up pole dancing. And Callie's sort of dry, sarcastic joke immediately is, well, she's not very coordinated. Which again, a lot of autistic people like me are not very coordinated. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting that was your immediate go-to for that.
Also, how literal. That's very literal too. That
yes, yeah, it's interesting the similarity of Phoebe telling these like pun sort of dad jokes that don't land, and then Callie's like very sarcastic, but she's not doing it to build relationships. She's doing it because that's just who she is. Correct. And she's angry. So I think a lot of her humor is kind of like sarcastic and cynical and angry and like, So, but it's interesting. Mother and daughter have that humor piece in common in a strange way, but they don't realize it. They just don't see eye to eye because of that trauma that Callie has had with, thinking that her father abandoned her. And then now she has this daughter who reminds her of the father who abandoned her. So it's interesting.
Hey, thanks for watching this video. Check out the full episode on our channel and anywhere you find podcasts. Also, remember to like and subscribe. Whoop whoop.